Welcome back to In Spirit. This is Missy Reno Smith.
And I'm Vanna Smith. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about God's plan for Earth. Mm-hmm. So I want to start off with the question of, what is God's plan for us?
Oh, that's a big question.
It's a huge question.
It's really big. What is God's plan for us? Ultimately, we don't know.
It's a mystery.
It's kind of a mystery. The plan is for us to learn and grow.
Yeah.
We're here. This is a school.
Mm-hmm.
We're all off at boarding school right now.
Yep.
And we're here to learn. And that's the ultimate plan.
Mm-hmm.
But how and what lessons, we can get little clues.
Yep.
God certainly sends us intuition, people like me as well who,
mm-hmm.
This is our job to look ahead and see things for people individually and, for the world as a whole.
Yep.
But ultimately, I think the best way to answer that question is to say God's plan for us is to learn.
Yeah. But where do you, as a psychic medium, see us heading? Where do you see the Earth going? Like, when you, you tune in, where do you see us?
Well, I can look pretty far.
Yeah.
And I know that I've seen a few 100 years and
mm-hmm.
perhaps a few 1,000 years into the future.
Yep.
And when I see us a few 100 years into the future, there are some things that I'm not scared about, but I see some things that I'm a little nervous about.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's a better word.
Yeah.
I see less people, and not in a good way. Because I realize there are people out there who feel like this earth is too populated,
yep.
and that's not how the other side sees it.
Yeah.
This is a place for us to come to learn, and there are many people over there who want to learn.
Yep.
And there's more room for us.
Mm-hmm.
Demographic winter is something that is looked upon as a very negative thing.
Yeah.
Over there. And so when I see us, into the future and I feel like there's less of us, I feel like that wasn't a good thing.
Yeah, we're already kind of seeing it a little bit. In Japan, I was just hearing about that they're starting to see a lot of population decrease issues there for the future. Like, people aren't having kids, so...
Right.
They aren't having kids till later on in life, and then when they are, they're only having, one, sometimes two.
Sure.
So that can cause some issues.
Yeah, it's growth is easy, but
yep.
to downsize and such, that's not very easy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's difficult for society to do that. And now I wouldn't want people who don't want to be parents. I wouldn't want them to have children.
Yeah.
If you don't want that, please
don't do it.
Don't do it. If you do want to have children, I hope that you not only replace yourself, but maybe have an extra one.
Yeah, that's what you did.
Like we did. We had 3 children, so my husband and I, we each replaced ourselves, and then we had one to spare. That's you.
Yeah.
You're the third, so...
I'm the spare.
You're the spare, yeah. No, well, you're the growth.
Yeah.
You're the growth. That actually sounds even funnier, but...
I'm like the Prince Harry of the family. I'm the spare.
Yes. No, that's not how we see you. But no, I think it was, wonderful that we did that, especially that, because we are seeing... issues and such. But, so that's something that I see looking forward that I'm maybe not so excited about because
yep.
the other side doesn't see it as being a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, and people who have questions about that, space and, food and all of these things, we innovate.
Yeah.
That's what we do. We are innovators.
Yep.
We are inventors. We are creators. We are children of God. We are problem solvers.
If we run out of food, we'll do just like, what's his name? God. Matt Damon or whatever in The Martian. Was it Matt Damon? It was Matt Damon. Yeah. And, he made the potatoes.
He did by farming in
his own waste.
Yeah, that's the best word for it, I think. But, yeah, I don't think we need to farm in our own waste, but I have seen vertical farms. I see a lot of hydroponics in the future. I see a lot of wonderful things. A good friend of mine was telling me recently about something called biochar. I think everybody, if you're a gardener, if you're, you need to look into that because the ancients used it to make their fields very fertile. This is making a big comeback. This biochar stuff is, and so I think that we're going to solve our problems, and we're going to be okay. But, how much damage are we doing right now, or will we do before people understand that? I don't know.
But in God's big plan, he kind of seems to put in a lot of suffering for us. Does he, want us to really feel that suffering, or is it just kind of more like, he just wants us to learn from it? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, God, they don't want us to suffer. This is, God really only has 3 things for us, and that's health, wealth, and happiness. Wellness, prosperity, and joy. These are the things that God wants for us. It is us who has asked to learn. We asked God to make this place so that we could learn and have wisdom like God. So we're here to earn that wisdom. And so God said, okay, I'll do it. I'll make this space. It's a safe space. You're going to come here. It's like a virtual reality experience. Sometimes they refer to it like playing a video game. And that is not to trivialize life in any way, because there are consequences to our actions here. But ultimately, are there consequences to our actions where we truly live our real body in heaven? No. That's why this place is safe.
Unfortunately, you don't get 3 lives like in most video games. That would be fun. If I could just die a couple times and come back, do something crazy.
Totally, the answer to that is yes, because we live as many lives as we want to.
But come back directly to this life.
No, this is why there are consequences. So we don't want to think of life as being so trivial that we would make bad decisions.
I want to just jump up into some bricks in Mario, hit my head really hard, die, come back, eat some mushrooms again in Mario, hope to grow, end up being poisonous, die again, and then go, okay, and I'm a 3rd life. Now I guess I've learned a lesson.
Oh gosh, no. So that's not going to happen. Not like that. Yeah, no, we're here we want to respect this life and that. But, but we are here to learn. We asked to come here. We asked for all of this. So everything that you're going through, I'm so sorry to tell you, but you asked for it.
It's dang.
I know.
Wish I didn't.
I know, me too. I'm just because I'm the one that gets to deliver this message doesn't mean that I like it. I don't like it. I don't like the stuff that I planned for myself. I planned some pretty nasty things. I've gone through some tough times, and I'm sure that I'll have big challenges in the future as well.
But sometimes our unhappiness and our suffering isn't always at our own hands. It's done to us,
But is it?
Well, and I guess sometimes, it feels that way. I mean, things like there have been certain people throughout history who have made other people suffer, such as Hitler example, has made other people suffer, and it just doesn't feel like you were in control of that,
Maybe not always while you're here.
Yeah.
But didn't you plan out your life and choose to come here?
Yeah.
So this is where I bring it back to that we have choice. We chose to come here. Some of our free will is done over there.
Yeah.
Because when we're here, you're on this ride.
Yeah.
You're on it until it ends.
But did God say, the whole Holocaust thing, for example, World War II, didn't he have one big plan for that? Yes. And then we all kind of had to jump in and say, okay, we'll live through it.
Absolutely. So God creates the big plan.
Yeah.
God says, okay, here's what's going to happen. We're going to have this major war.
Yeah.
There's going to be, a few central figures. Some are, heroes and some are not.
Yeah.
Some are really not. Then there's going to be all these people participating.
Yep.
Some people are going to be participating, trying to right the wrong.
Yep.
Some people are going to be creating these wrongs, and then there's going to be all of these people who are suffering because of that.
Yeah.
Of course, but you chose your place in it. You chose your place in it, and the central figures. We've talked about negative entities, negative people, spirits.
Yep.
And, sometimes it takes one of those to take on a role like that.
Yep.
But a lot of those negative roles were played by just regular people. They weren't negative spirits.
Yeah.
They were just people. And so sometimes we choose to take on a role where we are a victim, and sometimes we're a victimizer.
And does God himself, specifically choose, specific people to play those big roles, whether it be a hero or a, monster?
So sometimes the bigger roles require an audition.
Yeah.
And you have to have a resume. You cannot just come in here and, be a Winston Churchill or somebody. Yep. You have to have earned that space.
Yep.
And we all get a chance. We all get a chance to play these roles.
Yeah.
We really do. We all get a chance. There's only so many roles where you're famous, so to speak, right? But we all get a chance to play the roles that we want to play at varying levels and such. But yeah, some of the bigger ones, they do require a resume and an audition, sort of. You got to earn it.
Yeah, if you're going to play James Bond, you got to have that charm to you, and you got to be able to say, shaken, not stirred.
You do. You have to be able to deliver that line very well, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so if you're going to play, a big role, yeah. So God does choose who's in those roles. God is also choosing the one that's in the negative roles as well, right? So these things are happening, and while we're here, we may not have a whole lot of control over it. Some, but we did choose to come. We're all choosing to be players. On this big stage.
But can we kind of choose to go a little bit outside of God's big plan in our lives? Do we have to, when we make our life plan, do we have to really follow His plan?
Well, okay, so the plan is happening around us, whether we want it to or not.
Yeah.
And so you're caught up in it no matter what.
Yeah.
If I'm going to live in the United States in this time, whatever is happening in the United States in this time, I'm dealing with it.
Yeah.
It's just there. So I can't really get outside of the big plan.
Yeah.
How much it affects us, and that, perhaps we can write into our own personal plan how much we're going to be affected by certain things, whether they're positive, negative, neutral, whatever.
Yep.
And, but ultimately it's still happening around us.
And if we're unhappy with God's big plan, does He sometimes just fix it for us? If everyone's really unhappy with the way things are going, can God just come in and go, okay, you know what? Sure, I'll fix it.
Manifestation, we can manifest.
Yeah.
Can we manifest as groups? I believe we can. I do believe that there's room for God to change the plan.
Yeah.
So I would say yes. Miracles happen.
Yeah.
I would say yes, miracles happen. So, but also remember too that, part of the plan is fixing.
Yeah.
Something gets broken and then we work to fix it.
Yeah.
And then something gets broken and we fix it again, and we just keep doing that over and over and over and over. Because we all need to learn these experiences from so many different angles, and there's so many people waiting to learn them, and so this is why history repeats itself.
Yep.
We just keep going, but so it's the plan isn't always about negativity.
Yep.
We just tend to focus on when things aren't going right. There's wonderful time periods, golden ages and,
Yep.
and things here on earth, and mini golden ages, sometimes they last, a few months or a few years or, maybe a century. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, we go in waves of, and it depends on where you are on this planet too, because there's so many things happening, in each, area of the world.
And how far out does God make his big plan? Is it like, does he have like, the beginning of Earth to the end of Earth all planned out? Or is he just kind of like going along, every couple of years, rewriting a plan, making a plan, making a plan, making a plan?
I believe it's written.
Okay.
It's been written out. God knows everything all at once.
Yeah.
God is all-knowing. And, God knows what we need.
Yeah.
God knows where we need to go. But certainly as we go along, things can be tweaked.
Mm-hmm.
God is good at tweaking.
He's a tweaker.
God can tweak. And yeah, so God tweaks the plan and things change slightly. But ultimately, I believe that how this ends is already written. And I do believe that eventually, at some point, so far into the future that I can't even fathom it, but eventually I believe that we may not have need for this dimension anymore. But again, it's so far that I don't know, I just can't even contemplate it. It makes my brain smoke.
Too many years ahead, like numbers we don't have.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So we would just like go to a different dimension and start kind of like living there, or?
I don't know exactly what happens at that point, but I do believe that there will be a time where we all say that we have what we need. And from there we'll go forward. But
what do you think happens to like our spirits? Is it just like we go to a different dimension, or do we like stay in heaven, or?
I don't know. I really don't know. The access they have given me to what is outside of God, creation, is so little. I was able to leave, to go beyond the border, but I was not able to look out.
Yeah.
I was only able to look back in to see creation, to see God. And so I just don't even have any way to answer that question.
So what do we do when things really aren't going the way we want it to on this planet? We're all struggling, everyone's suffering, or whether it's just be everyone or even just ourselves in general, what can we do?
Well, if you feel like the world isn't going the way that you want it to go,
Yeah.
and you need to get out there and work, do something. And I suggest starting at your community level, literally right where you live, because that's what affects us most, is our own community. From that point, we start, branching out, and then we start in our neighborhood.
Yep.
Start there. Start in your own neighborhood. And then move out to your city, your county, your state, your country, whatever, and, start locally and start fixing what you can fix. Help be part of whatever you feel like you need to be part of.
I think that's something people often forget nowadays with things like social media, and, you could read world news like as it's happening, in this day and age. You often kind of forget about your own space, your own town, your own community, because you're just so focused on like what's happening in your whole country and then in the whole world. But there is a lot you can do just at home,
Absolutely. I feel the same way about when somebody wants to like donate money, volunteer their time, all of the, it's all of it together, whether it's, to start at home.
Yep.
Start literally within your own home and then your neighborhood, and, go from there. See see how you can make a difference and to make the world a better place as the way that you see it should be, because we all differ in how we think it should be.
Yeah.
And and we're all sitting here thinking we're right. Are we?
Yeah.
We got people thinking we're so right, and then but maybe we're not.
Yeah.
Maybe we're not. So what's right for you?
Yeah.
Go from there. But yeah, I think it's important that people stop whining.
Yeah.
And start doing.
It's also so hard to not think you're right at the same time too, because when you only have your own brain, so you can really only trust yourself. So of course you're gonna think that you're right, and everything that's going on with you is your whole world,
I think it's important that if you're sitting there, most people have no knowledge of how other people think.
Absolutely.
Truly.
Yeah.
We get sound bites from the internet.
Yeah.
And we categorize and stereotype.
Yeah.
And we do all sorts of things like this. But, if you are, for instance, if we're just talking about like political parties, and we're not going to get political, but if we're talking about political parties, why don't you go and, if you've always been part of one party, and most of the people you are around are from that one party, and or maybe a few that aren't, and whatever, but get out there and go to a meeting for another party. Listen to what they're about. Just I think we need to stop being so one-sided. And it seems like in our country, it seems like in recent years, people are not tolerating, people who think differently. And it seems as though those people really don't even know what actual people who are, that they're actually like.
Yeah, it's so important to get the whole story, a whole entire perspective on things. And if you're still against someone else after having their perspective, at least you can understand their way of thinking better. You can understand their communities thinking better, so that you can work better towards, something to help stop it, or help, change things. So
or work together.
Together too.
Yeah.
But, it's always just important to get the other perspective as well. There's nothing wrong with, seeing two sides of a story.
I agree. And I think it's important to know your own party as well, truly, because sometimes I don't know that everybody always does. I would say read the mission statement. The mission statement for the party that you belong to, and read the mission statement for all the parties, in your country, and make sure that you are voting along the lines of your values, because whatever party you're voting for, that mission statement, that is ultimately what they represent. So know what they all are, know what they truly mean, and then also that gives you the ability to say, wait a minute, you guys this is what we represent, but maybe this isn't what we're doing right now, or something too. Like if this is what the party represents, this is what we should be working towards. But again, I don't. It's not my intention to push anybody towards any one thing in particular. I think it's just important that we know ourselves. And we know what we stand for.
It's important you make up your own mind.
You make up your own mind, and that you are, understanding of what other people are too.
If someone is educated in what they're talking about, what they believe, I can't blame them for believing in that. You know?
If they truly understand, and that's what they're going for, and that. But ultimately, I think we're on a good track. I feel good about our country. And, where we're going. And I don't feel like anybody needs to be afraid of God's plan. So if people are thinking maybe they're afraid or something, like, need to be.
No matter what, we get through anything. The human race, we always get through it.
Yeah, whatever it is, and I think right now maybe there's tensions are high and everything like it is every 4 years, and I get the same questions from people no matter who gets in office.
Yeah.
I get the same sort of panicked questions coming to me, and that, so to me it just doesn't matter who's winning or whatever in regards to the work that I do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, because I'm going to get the same questions, and I'm going to have to say, hey, remember that God has a plan, and remember that we're safe. We're safe. Ultimately, we're safe. And if you don't like what's happening, just get involved at your community level.
Yep.
Get involved where you really are going to make a difference, and do.
Yeah, and the beauty of the United States is that it's 4 years. You can re-elect someone else. It's 4 years. You can make it through. You can always change policies later on that you don't like. And that things are kind of up to your state as well. If you don't like way something's going in one state, you can move to another. So that's one of the amazing things about the United States.
Oh yeah, we do that. Our family, we think about that. We want to live in states where we feel like we're going to have a better outcome for our family.
Yeah.
And that's what we all have to do. We have to think, we have to position ourselves in a way that's best for us. And, I don't say that in a way that I'm not thinking of other people that, but ultimately, we do have to act in our own best interest.
Yep.
And especially when you're, parents and everything, you have to do that. So yeah, you just have to do what your conscience wants you to do, I guess. I don't know how else to put
we all have a
that,
different definition of freedom, and with our own individual brains that think different things, always think that we're right. Some people feel more free in California, some people feel more free in Texas. It's just, where do you feel free? I guess
we've lived in Texas several times. We've lived in California too.
Yeah.
Love both places.
Yeah.
You have to go where you want to go, but I don't know. I've been getting a lot of questions. I've been getting a lot of texts and emails from clients, but I always do every 4 years, leading up to and after. It doesn't matter. Like it's all the same, and I have to put my own stuff aside.
Yep.
Because ultimately when I'm working with other people, what I think and want and whatever, that doesn't matter. And so I just have to try to look at things from their side, and that. So, but I find the whole thing interesting. But I just don't, not worried at all.
Yeah. We're all just living in God's plan,
I trust God.
Trust in God. So, but what can we do to really make sure that like God's plan happens? I guess maybe we could somehow screw it up ourselves, but what can we do to make sure it happens?
What can we do to make sure God's plan happens? Okay, let me just go back a little bit. God has angels that are putting people, us, our guardian angels put us right where we need to be, like a chess, like it's a chessboard. We're like chess pieces. They're moving us around. Our angels are making sure that we're in the right place at the right time. So we are cooperating. So when we cooperate with our angels, can we prolong our futures? Yeah, we can stand there with our feet in the sand and not move. So we can maybe hold things up a little bit, but will it hold up God's ultimate plan? I don't know, because there's not always dates on all of this stuff.
Yeah.
It's typically, it's first this happens and then that happens. Obviously, my birthday, your birthday, Christmas, they're going to come around on the same day every year.
Yeah.
That's just how that works. But otherwise, things that are supposed to happen, it's typically like first this needs to happen and then that.
Yeah.
So can we hold up God's plan? Can we prevent it from happening? Not really. I think that other people can be slid in to take our place if we are holding things up. Something like that happens, I guess. They're absolute masters at what they do.
Yeah.
I mean, they're incredible. And then of course, world leaders, they have angels as well that help them while they're leading.
Yeah.
Like archangels like Gabriel, Metatron, Michael, they come in and they're like guiding.
Yep.
Every location, every city has its own angel. That's there to make sure that everything that's supposed to happen in that city is happening.
Yep.
And larger cities, of course, are going to have more than one. Every state, every country, they're very, very special angels that work towards that. So how do we make sure that it happens? Well, we're cooperating. We're just living our plan. We're just going with it. We're not allowing ourselves to get stuck. And if we get stuck, hopefully we're getting out of it.
Yeah. So we just really need to remember that there is a big plan. We got to trust in God and everything will be okay in the end, We're here for a short time.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. God has a plan. It's a very important plan.
Yep.
It has purpose. Everything that happens is happening for a reason. We can trust in the plan.
Yep.
We can trust God. We can trust in our own plan as well. Our own part in the big plan.
Yeah.
And we don't have to be afraid.
Well, I think that's all for today. Thank you for joining us.
Remember that God loves you and I'm sending angels your way.
If you'd like to know more about Missy Reno Smith, her readings, her artwork, please visit MissyRenoSmith.com. You can also find In Spirit Podcast on TikTok, X, and Instagram, as well as YouTube, and wherever you listen to your podcasts.